This is a video of my stove from Jarrett. I'll put a link to his YouTube website here. This is the actual main body of the stove here by itself with none of its attachments on it. I need to get a scale out to weigh that. Why don't I pause and do that real quick. Alright, as I was saying I was going to weigh this real quick, I went ahead and got a scale here. And it is 5 ounces exactly. That's just the body of it. I'll show you the different parts. There are a lot of different parts that you can attach to this to make it do different things. It's a 3-in-1 stove. Basically it's 2 types of alcohol usage and 1 type of butane usage. And for butane we use the, well, I have the Gigapower small 3.5, just slightly larger. You can see the size of the stove there. Just slightly larger than the stove here. This fits in a, I believe, a Snow Peak 700. 600 if you tilt it, I've heard you can get it in like that, but there wouldn't be enough room for both these items in this if it was tilted. But in the 700 I think you can get both those right in there, no problem. They both fit right down inside there, along with all the attachments. By attachments, what I'll show you is I'm going to set this back here. This particular stove has set-offs for setting the pot in, or on I should say, not in. That helps with the heat, residual heat that transfers back down. It doesn't suck all the heat out of your pot with these set-offs in here like this. And these screw in rather easy. And I took them out because I was testing the theory, and I'll show you that in a little while. You can actually screw them in from the bottom. You can see they come through. For storage in the in your Snow Peak 700, you could screw them in from the bottom, and then they would be encased. And I had the actual piece here for the inlet for fuel addition screwed into the side, but I also screwed that from the inside out because it can go in from the side. Then you don't have to worry about taking it and leaving it loose inside your thing when you're walking around. It's not rattling around. You just screw them back in from the bottom or from the inside. And I'll show it in a minute here. Actually, I'll show it right now as long as I'm talking about it. This one's not easy to do unless you're right on top of it, obviously, but it screws in. I'll show you how quick it goes here. Inside, and I'm not going to do them all because it just doesn't make any sense to do them all. You get the idea when doing one here. And you just screw that up inside there a little bit until it's just snug. And voila, you do that to all 3 of them, as well as your inlet valve there. And now you have a nice storage space for the parts when you're carrying it inside of a Snow Peak 700 or such forth, or even a 600. I believe he said it fits, and he's got it down to the size where it'll fit right inside of a Snow Peak 600. I think he's even got it to where you can fit it with inside, because it is pretty small there. And this fits actually this part fits in the Snow Peak 600, but the rim does not. And we're well inside that, so now I can't find my Snow Peak 600 anymore. It seems to have lost it, so I can't demonstrate that. But I can show you against the Gigapower there. Anyways, so all those can fit down inside there with that sitting on top of it, and you have all your parts that fit down inside there as well. As I was saying, parts, this is a part that you would use if you were going to use your butane. And I'll demonstrate this. And to demonstrate this, I want to show you a few things before I do demonstrate it. There's actually also a plug for making this an alcohol stove. You'd want to plug the hole there so your alcohol doesn't leak out. And a couple other features that I think he showed you is he has 2 pieces of felt he puts inside there to use it as a felt stove. And a simmer ring that he puts inside there where you can adjust the flame. If you're going to use it full open, obviously you wouldn't put that on, but if you want to adjust a little bit, you drop that on there and you can adjust the flame to any size you want. Am I below my camera? No, I'm above. And one other thing that he sends along with this stove is a jet piece. Now this is a heavier metal, and he may stick with it. I'm not sure if he's going to switch to an aluminum like everything else is, or if he's going to keep this metal. And I kind of think he should keep it metal. It does get very hot, but that weight that it puts in there, and it's not a lot of weight. Oops, sorry, dog's a little loud. There's not even 1 ounce, it's 0.9 ounces. But because that's a little bit heavier, the pressure of the alcohol is not pushing it out. Now, I don't know if you made it out of aluminum, if it'd be too light, and the pressure would push up, and the alcohol would burn around the outer sides. But this does not. It burns through these holes here. So I think that's probably why he made it steel. I never really asked him why he made it steel, but that's a good thing that it is steel. It does stay hot longer, though, so you have to keep it down inside there. Maybe put a piece of felt on top of it before you pack it away, because it stays hot longer, where the aluminum all cools off really quick. So that's just a factor. Ooh, sorry about that. Dog's a little rowdy today. boys are horsing around. So now, I mentioned we were going to show the butane part of it. Well, let me show you what I did first. I bought this first. This is the wrong one to buy. If you're on eBay and you're looking for a stove to use the butane with and you're looking for an inexpensive one, this is the wrong one to buy for that purpose. It's a nice little stove. It has little fold-out arms here. It has a little sparker. I guess that spark will show up there, I'm not sure. Turning the same as any butane stove. So it's a nice little stove. And I thought I could take this all apart and use these parts. The bottom comes off, and that works perfectly. However, this centerpiece here, I'm not sure what they call it, and the top piece don't come apart. They're pressed together. They're not the same piece. Obviously, one's black, one's silver. But they're pressed together, not screwed together. So this cannot be used, this style cannot be used to work with Jared's stove. So if you're going to buy one that you want to try and use with a stove, don't buy this one in the little orange box. Although it's a nice stove, I've used it once or twice, it really works well. The one you want to buy is this one. This one is very similar to, I think it's MSR's Pocket Rocket, and it's very nice little packaging, just like theirs, I believe. Has the features just like the Pocket Rocket does, where it spreads out. And I say Pocket Rocket, but this is not. This is a off-brand name. It says Observer on here. I'm not sure. I'd have to check my email and see. So this one, the top, as I'm going to show you here, does unscrew, unlike the other one. That's where this one actually works, because we only need parts of this. We need this part. We don't need this top thing. It actually pops off. I mean, I don't know what the purpose of this top thing is. You can pop it off and not use it, or leave it on and use it. It doesn't matter. I don't know. There may be a purpose for that, and somebody can maybe explain that to me, what it is. But this then screws into Jared's extension, and you can see it's similar to what's built here. But he's built it so that we can take this piece off then, which is hard to do unless you have a little screwdriver to put in there and just twist away with your hands on these things here. So I had it loose already. It doesn't come off that easy. You need to use a screwdriver. And then this is their current pot stand that they had. So we're taking that off, and we're not using this part. We're putting that aside. We're using the top and the base. Obviously, we want to make sure it's off. Oops, off. When we screw it on here, you want to make sure those are tight so you're not leaking fuel. Then this piece actually screws into the threads that Jared has put in here. Oops, I gotta get a grip on it. And it's easier to screw in from the bottom, I found, because the pot stand's in the top. You just spin it right in, right down. Nothing about snugness matters here on this, because it's tight, but it's not super tight. Whereas when you put the alcohol in, it needs that O-ring to get super tight to let it stop leaking. This is just a stand, more or less, for our pots, much like the stand that came with it. But the advantage to this pot stand is that it allows us to, actually I think last time I screwed this on first and then the top on. Alright, this allows us to use it as a pot stand, much like this. Difference in weight is a lot. This is not even a half of an ounce. It's a little more than a half ounce. It's 0.8, this little piece. And you'd have to add both these pieces, I guess, because they're both coming off. So let me set it down again. 1 ounce altogether you're taking off in exchange for a 5 ounce piece, plus there was another piece inside there which I'll weigh later. So now we've got a pot stand for our butane. It's a nice sturdy pot stand too, which you can then put this on here, and I'll take it off and light it. And we all know that these things are torches, and they burn water rather quickly. I mean, they are much better than any alcohol stove that I've used at heating up water. I'm not even fully on there. I can set this thing into jet mode, I guess, whatever you call it, and burn water really quick. But that's not what we're really here to show you. We all know, and that thing's already steaming, and I actually steam rolling off the bottom now. But that's not what I'm really here to show you. What I'm here to show you today, take it off there and put it on the side, is more the alcohol side of the stove. So let me go ahead and take this all apart. I'm going to stop the video when I take it apart here, because you see me go. It's just a reverse. And then I'm going to show you the alcohol side of it. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. I took out all these pieces because those are used for the butane. So we don't need to see those anymore. I mean, we can still set them aside here. They're not being used right now. That's the butane part of your stove. You wouldn't use that if you were going to use the alcohol side. You keep that somewhere else, wherever you put it. I did weigh this piece with all of its accessories that I was showing you. All these different accessories that come with it. And that, with the center rod that comes with it, this rod, is 7.5 ounces. Now, what I didn't weigh is, what if you were taking this whole stove with you on a camping trip? What would this entire stove weigh? And 9.5 ounces for all the pieces. For all of it, not counting your fuel of any kind. 9.5 ounces for all the pieces. Now, back to this stove here. This stove is unique because it can do multiple things. It had the ability to be your butane stove, more or less pot stand part of it. It also has the ability to be an alcohol stove with the plug, which is right here. We'll put the plug in. And Jared had mentioned that everybody has a quarter or a knife while they're camping to screw this thing in. Well, why would you need that if you brought your stove? Because this piece right here that he sent you with the stove works perfectly as a screwdriver to put this thing together. So you wouldn't even need, I mean, it's solid steel, so it's not going to bend, but it screws in there. You need it a little tight, obviously. You can't have it loose because of the drip if it did. And you don't want it dripping below here and draining out. So this is how your alcohol stove set up if you're going to use it to do the jets. You just drop this in here, and that becomes your jets then. And I'll show you how that functions in just a second here, as well as the felt one. Be right back.